And on the line I have Grant Harnish from Paihia. Good morning, Grant.
G'day, Aaron. How you doing?
Oh, we're good. We're good. How's things up in Paihia?
Mate, it's always sunny up in Paihia. It never rains.
Never rains.
It's always north of 20 degrees.
Well, we're supposed to be having a sunny day down here, but it hasn't started yet, but we are looking forward to that happening.
Yeah, good on you.
Yeah, now, we're in the process in Raglan of, we've had David Enwich come over a few times, and a group's formed to start what we're calling a town square project, which is to look at our major intersection in the middle of town and not turn it into an actual square, but to give it that vibe. And
awesome.
People are asking questions. Some are concerned, some are really excited. So we thought we'd talk to you this morning because you've been heavily involved in a similar project up in Paihia. So I guess my first question for you is, how did it go for Paihia?
Well, probably a very quick bit of history. I know you guys don't want to hear it all, but we've been going for 4.5 years, and we started probably 3 years ago with David now teaching the town how to do placemaking. And it would be fair to say the town has just gone from strength to strength to strength. So much community spirit, so much involvement from the community when we're doing these projects that the town spirit has lifted dramatically. So that's probably for us the biggest single key thing, is that the town's pulled together, and the byproduct is we get these fantastic spaces within our town as well, Aaron.
Okay, so how did David Enwich and Paihia kind of meet up?
Okay, we have a community trust, and we were given a ticket to one of David's shows for free, $750, and the council gave it to us. And so we sent one of our trustees down, and she came back and she just raved about this guy, David Enwich. And she said, we have to get him here to talk to us and tell us how to do things in our town. So we contacted David, and he wanted $12,000, which we couldn't afford.
Right.
So what we ended up doing, in a nutshell, is we gave him a free holiday in Paihia, and he came over and talked to our town for us.
Okay.
And all the operators within the town provided them with a week's holiday with activities and accommodation. And it was so successful, we had over 150 people attend the workshop. And we built our first project at the end of it. And David has now come back and sort of adopted our town, and we do projects every year with him. It's fantastic.
So you obviously had a group of people who were concerned about the town or wanted to do something before that anyway?
Oh, absolutely. So that was already up and running. There's several key things that you need to make this thing happen, and for it to be successful. You need, first of all, you need a will to change. If people don't want to change, then you're probably going to be battling. But if people actually feel as though they can make a difference, or that the town needs a difference, or it needs an improvement, then that's the first key. You then need some drivers, some people that are going to step up and say, I'll take responsibility for this, I will do it. And probably lastly, you need some funding, and you don't need much. We've done potentially about $1.5 million worth of council work that if the council paid for it would have been $1.5 million, and we've done that for under $200,000. And
right.
That's been all raised by our community. We raised all that money ourselves.
So what was the first project you did?
So the first project we did was what we call our Bay Bell project, or the Wave Seat project. So we took a little area. David walked around town with us on one of his workshops, and we talked about areas that could be improved and areas that weren't being used. And we had an area right in the centre of our town where no one used. It was just awful. And I've been here 22 years, and I had never sat there, and I didn't even know there were seats there. It was kind of embarrassing, actually.
Yep.
And so what we did was we put $5,000 on the table during that workshop, and we said the people that come up with the best idea after this workshop gets the $5,000, and they get to go and do their project. And so it was that Bay Bell project, which took us 2 days, and we had 100 of the community come down, and we were tripping all over each other, and we met people we've never met, and we transformed this area, and it's now the most highly utilised area in Paihia. And we did it for $5,000 in 2 days. So
this is the one where you've got kind of these wave kind of seat things outside the eyesight.
Yep, that's outside the eyesight, the wave seats, and we put a mosaic in, and all the people we had tourists stopping by and getting involved, and they come back the next day on the second day and put mosaic in and grouted, and everybody got involved. It was absolutely unbelievable, and we've now transformed that entire area, and there we've taken out car parks, and we've put in a huge people space with linger nodes and all sorts of things, which was last year's project, which was our biggest one to date. And that was probably the most controversial because we took car parks away. So you can't always please everyone, and it would be ignorant to say that you can.
Yeah,
but by far the majority support it, and that's where we go.
Well, let's talk about the car park thing, because that is always a concern with people. Like, you're taking away car parks, and now I can't drive to town and park outside the shop I want to go to. So,
Yep.
So talk us through that. Like, were business owners concerned?
Yeah, definitely. So we developed a master plan as the trust, which the council adopted and the community supported, and that did indicate that the car park would go. It was the waterfront car park. 26 car parks actually. There's 32, but 6 were unusable, so 26 car parks. And so we started working with transit. We had to work with transit, we had to work with Far North District Council, and we had to work with the Far North Holdings and also Northern Regional Council. So it was full of government bodies. And it took us a year and a half to get permission to do it. And it would be fair to say there was probably at least 50 or 60 very vocal people in town that were really upset about it. Most supported it, but there were some that were dead against it. And, so we took these car parks out of the community and we replaced it with a green space and seating and lighting. And now it is, once again, it's part of the wave seat area, and it is full of people all day. Where these people went beforehand, we have no idea. But even the people that were against it, bar a handful, have now come back and said how much they appreciate the fact that there's a people space and we don't need to just park cars on the waterfront. It's actually quite healthy to walk 100 metres. It's not a bad thing. And we did parking surveys and all sorts of things here. And so it's important that you actually talk to the community first, and that you establish whether you can afford to take those car parks away and provide alternatives potentially if you can. And then that was the process we went through. We had several town meetings, and then we actually got the permission from the powers to be, being NZTA, who owns some of the land, and FNDC and all these other government bodies, and then we went ahead and we actually did the whole thing as a community. It took 3 months.
And to do the work, or to...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the whole project took over 18 months with all the discussion, but the actual physical building was 3 months.
And that was all...
we did it with no labour cost. Everything was done for free.
That's what I was going to ask. Yeah, was it volunteer labour? So you must have had quite a heap of the town members involved in that one then.
Oh, yeah. We built community toilet blocks and pulled them apart and put new structural beams in, and that was done with David as well. And we did all that just with volunteer help, and the council just said, righto, away you go. And we transformed toilet blocks from the worst toilet block in New Zealand, I should add, to now voted by the Herald as one of the best toilet stops. And we did that one for $13,000.
Right.
If the council had done it, it would have been, they estimate, over $200,000 to $300,000.
Yeah.
So, you don't... David is incredible. He inspires people. 2, he comes up with the most fantastic ideas for doing things. And it's important that people sort of just give it a little bit of latitude and run with it for a while, because we don't have too many plans when we do these things. It's important not to plan too much, because you tend to, if you plan, you tend to exclude good ideas that come as you're doing it. So good to have a bit of a plan and a bit of an idea on where you're going, but I would emphasise being really flexible when you're doing it. People fear change. That's what we found the most. People don't want things to change because they're worried about what it's going to be. And if you just embrace the fact that you could have something new and something better, and everything we've done has potential to actually reverse it if you need to.
Yeah.
So keep that in the back of your heads when you're doing things as well, So we took this car park out and we put grass in. Well, worst case scenario, we'll dig the grass up and we'll put some gravel down and we'll park the cars there again if it's a disaster. Well, we've had a 16% increase in traffic through all the shops.
Right. I think that's something...
documented numbers.
That's something important for business owners to hear, isn't it? That you've effectively increased the foot traffic outside their shops, haven't you?
People travel. I had a guy from Australia in the other day. People are now coming here, and he's a councillor in a town in Australia where David's working as well. And people are travelling from all over to come and actually have a look at what's happening in Paihia at the moment. So we're actually creating business by what we're doing, let alone the fact that the tourists that come here are just raving about it. They're enjoying the space, they're enjoying the atmosphere, they're enjoying the fact that our town does it, and our town's really proud of it, and people walk around and take a day all the time, and we have volunteers on the ground all the time now looking after these spaces.
I think we've got one of our community board members is going to come up and see you guys at some point. I think he was talking about doing that.
Awesome. And that's what they need to do, and come and have a look and touch and feel it, and jump on our website. We've got a website, focuspaihia.org.nz, and you can have a look at some of the things that have been done, and there's some videos of the toilet blocks being renovated, and we haven't put the video up at the park yet, but that's coming. The most important thing, Aaron, is that you end up with a community spirit of people doing things together.
Yeah.
And the byproduct is you get fantastic spaces. But the fact that our town is now more united, it's not perfect, never will be. It's a community, but it's so much more united now than where we were 4 years ago or 5 years ago when we first started.
Right.
And a big chunk of that is thanks to David and doing placemaking projects. Placemaking projects are so important, and they're so simple. It's so easy. You've just got to embrace a little bit of change. And we had people that were really concerned at the start about what was going on, because we call them the Paihia Phantom Placemakers. So we'd come in 2 days. We wouldn't actually ask permission for a lot of the projects if they were smaller, and we'd do them, and we'd disappear, and no one knew who was doing it. People thought, what the hell's going on here?
Yep.
And then all of a sudden they found that these spaces were getting used again. And it wasn't costing anyone anything, and it wasn't costing the council anything. We always did these by discussing it with the council first, but we would do it quietly. We didn't make a big noise about it. And the council were great, because they would look at things and they'd say, okay, as long as you're not wrecking anything and we can put it back, then we'll give you some latitude to do this.
Mm. Well, so, that process that you guys went through has impressed our local council, which is known for being a pretty conservative council, but they're right behind what is going to happen in Raglan. So that is another positive outcome of what you guys did, really. Yeah,
it's happening all around New Zealand. There's several towns. Nelson, I know, has been doing stuff. Palmy, Wellington's looking at it. There's towns looking everywhere and saying, gee whiz, communities can take ownership. We've got 3 other towns in the north here now that are picking it up, and our current council has now adopted the program, and they're actually providing funding to get towns to actually do what we're doing here in Paihia. We provide our own funding, so we're self-funded, our trust. We have our own op shop, and we bought a beach cleaner to clean beaches, and we manage some council contracts now, and so we self-fund. But to get people started, the council is now supporting it, and we actually are working with some other towns in the north here doing the same sort of thing. Not to the same scale yet, but it's really important that the community get involved and the community actually lead these projects. And it's not council-led and everyone stands back and then at the end of it go, well, I don't like that.
Right, so you've done several projects, including this larger one. And I know the car park. I've been there. I remember it. Have you got other things you want to do in the town, or what about the future?
Heaps. We've got a master plan that's going to take us through to about 2025.
Right.
So, a huge amount of projects to be done. We have a town meeting on April 9th to discuss the projects coming up for this winter. So we're trying to build currently a mountain bike park. It is one of the next major projects. We're going to redevelop the village green frontage. And we're going to do some lighting on Williams Road. Other projects that are under discussion. Now, we don't discuss whether we do or don't do those projects. We discuss how they're going to look and what they could be like.
Right.
And their major impacts. And the mountain bike park is led by a couple of people in town that have said we'd like to do this. So what we do is, as a trust, we endorse those projects and we help fund them and we help facilitate getting it done. So that's still in its early stages, but that just shows that it's quite diversified what we're doing. We're not doing just the centre of our town. We're actually looking outside. We're looking at how can we exercise people and how can we give people something to do in winter and in summer and that sort of thing. We'd like people to come and use our mountain bike park from around New Zealand because it's going to be amazing.
So we have the situation at the moment where a lot of people are concerned and there is some opposition. I mean, how did you guys work through that when you're right back at the start?
So what we did was we held town meetings and we actually, So when we held the town meeting, we asked what they wanted. And then once we had that information, we then went away and collated it, and we then developed something based on what the majority wanted. So you're always going to have some people that aren't happy with what you're doing, and we definitely still have that now with the park that we developed, Horututu, our place we've called it, and there's always going to be some people that aren't happy, and that's unfortunate. But that's just the world that we live in today. It is impossible to please everyone, although to be fair, we'd pretty much pleased everyone up until we took the car park away. That's when we upset some people.
Right.
So if you're doing something that's quite major, then yes, you will have some opposition. We actually sit down with them, we listened to what they had to say, and we did modify some stuff to try and accommodate where we could. But in the end, to be fair, Aaron, we've just had to accept that sometimes we can't make it 100% happy with everyone. But we are very cautious to make sure that we are supported by far the majority. And if the majority of the people in our town came along and said, we want this put back to a car park, and it was a genuine majority, then that's what would happen. Yep. So we don't do what we want to do, we do what the community wants. But there is so much support now for having a park there instead of a car park, or changing things around, that it would be unlikely that it would ever change, I would imagine. Did
you ever do anything like conduct a survey, or did you rely on the population to coming to the town meetings and things like that to get a feel?
So the majority of it was on town meetings. So that was the majority of it. And then there was some submissions made on it to council, which we went and addressed, and we actually discussed it with those people. And to be fair, Aaron, one of the biggest problems that you have is misinformation.
Yes.
So people have an idea that it's going to be a certain way when that's not the case at all, and that actually creates most of the negative feeling towards it.
That has been the case.
Is really important, and we learnt a lot as we were going along of trying to get that information out there. And information gathering and dissemination is the thing that we try to do the most, and it's the thing we're still constantly working on, and that we haven't achieved 100% by any stretch of the imagination yet. But yeah, information, dissemination, and getting that information out to the community so they actually understand what they're going to get is the key. And then you will still have some people, I'm sure, that are unhappy.
Oh yeah,
but
yeah, that's the way of the world.
I would encourage people to give it a chance. Just give it a chance. And at the end of the day, it may be that it doesn't work perfectly, but you've learned something huge out of it, and then you can move on and you can modify things and you can change them. But change is good. It's not scary, and that's the bit that people just really struggle with most, I think.
All right, Grant, look, thanks heaps for your time this morning. It is good to hear, from a concrete example of where this has happened, and good to hear that it's been picked up by other towns around the Bay of Islands and that area as well.
Oh, definitely. It's brilliant. It is the single thing that I enjoy doing the most now. So I only work now 6 months, and I now take 6 months a year off, and I do community project because it is so rewarding.
Right.
And it's so worthwhile. And I'm fortunate that I'm in a position that I can do that. So I'm not suggesting that everyone should start working for 6 months of the year. But, I am in tourism up here, and we have quiet winters, so I actually have the chance to do that. And I absolutely love it. Personally rewarding, community rewarding, everything about it is a positive. It's embrace it, grab it with both hands, and be grateful for the opportunity is what I would encourage.
Okay. Well, thanks heaps, Grant, and we'll let you know how we get on.
Aaron, I'd love to. I'm actually coming south in June, and we're going to stop in at Raglan and have a look. So I'll look you up.
All right.
And I'll look forward to seeing stuff happening. It'll be really exciting.
All right. Thanks very much, mate.
Hope the sun comes out.
Oh, it will. It's coming out now. It's brightening up. Don't worry.
No, just come north. It's sunny for the first thing in the morning.
All righty.
See you, Aaron.
Righty.
See you, Aaron.
Righty.
See you, Aaron.
Righty.
See you, Aaron.
Righty.